Welcome back. Let's bring in my second guest, Mr. Tonye, the APC governorship candidate in Rivers State in the last election. He joins us from Abuja studio. Mr. Cole, thank you for coming on the program and for your patience, sir.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Well, it was my senior brother on the line, so I had to be patient with him.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk to you on two parts. The caps you wear competently. First, as a businessman, and second, as a politician. So let's start with the business element, which has to do with the oil and gas sector. I wish we had more time, but from what you're seeing play out in that sector, because a lot has been said, so I don't want to get to specifics. What are the keys that we're not tapping into from your experience that you think that will begin to look at? Because we've seen the government do a few things with the Dangote refinery, with the NNPCL and all of that. What is really missing for us to really achieve what we want to achieve? Because for the Nigerian, this is how sometimes we measure success. We don't have to queue on the road and we buy cheaper fuel.
You know, first and foremost, I believe that the only way that you can begin to address the oil and gas sector is for you to put the pressure off the oil and gas sector. And it sounds like a paradox. Why there is so much difficulty is because the oil and gas sector continues to bear so much of the burden that Nigeria brings upon it. And so the only way that you can resolve it, and the only way that you can stop all of the problem, is that you must begin to address monetary policies in other sectors that will put less pressure on the foreign exchange and Naira.
Okay, let's go to the NNPCL. I want to guess that you've seen maybe their audited reports. 3.3 trillion Naira, an improvement from the 2-point-something trillion they posted net profit last year, the year before, that's 2022. But questions are being raised about how they fund their operations in terms of what economists call gearing ratio, maybe more on debt side than equity, because we're looking at defrayment from the federal government as to dividend payments so that they can meet some of their cash calls or cash obligation or cash flow. There's also the issue of the 6.8 billion that they said, look, that is not the true picture, but we are paying this small. So for you, looking at the NNPCL, again, that same question. In terms of repositioning, we've had postponement of the refineries. We've seen their books and our monies are going in, and we're not seeing as much result as it should be. So I'm trying to rush as much as possible. What's your take?
So first and foremost, NNPC carries a huge burden when it comes to the issue of making sure that you have petroleum products out there for the masses. And as we speak, because there has been what you would call NNPC absorbing most of the cost, the true cost of petroleum products, you've already had so many discussions whether there is subsidy or not subsidy. So a lot of the earnings of NNPC is already going into that. And that, in essence, begins to affect other things. It will affect your cash calls. It will affect the ability of NNPC to do what it really needs to do, which is to be a producing, to be a developmental company, and so on and so forth. So NNPC is under a lot of pressure, and that pressure can be directly traced to the issue of importation of petroleum products and what you would call subsidy or no subsidy.
So we can see that NNPCL is proliferated across the ecosystem from all the streams. If you mention literally everywhere they are in, and it feels like some of the players from the conversations we've had, they feel like this is more like an institutional monopoly that kicks them out of the space. I'm talking of Ipman, for instance, that I said there used to be a sharing quota formula where DAPMAN, of course, the depots have a certain percentage of PMS being given to them, and they are more across the country. They should have been giving more that they used to be given, and now this is happening where perhaps they are giving less. And they are complaining that they have to buy at premium at depot because they can get the product quickly. But going to NNPCL to get the product, you will get it cheaper, but it's more expensive. It will take longer time. So when you're actually trying to sell, your profit is literally eroded given inflation. What can be done differently to ensure that we do our best that PMS prices will go down besides the fixing of the refinery, at least for now?
You know, Jeffrey, Ipman and many people who find themselves within the various value chain of the downstream will always have an issue and a problem as long as you don't have cost reflective prices with PMS in the market. And the mere fact is that under current circumstance, it is impossible. Under current circumstance, it's impossible for that to be reflected. So the only institution today that can absorb the cost for the Nigerian people of PMS as you see it at 600 or 700 naira at the pump price is NNPC bringing it and giving it cheaper. And so Ipman cannot import directly and sell and use their storage as a throughput facility outside of NNPC, because then you will be hitting the streets at over 1,200 naira per liter. And it's just not tenable today. So you are not going to have a freedom to set prices at real parity. And as long as that is the case, then the Ipmans and all the other independent marketers along the chain will have to go through NNPC. It's the only way. It's the only game in town.
All right, Mr. Cole, as we to wind down, let's now get to politics. And this conversation about NNPCL, the oil refinery, and all of the gamut of the oil and gas sector is complicated, and a single show will not solve it. So let's talk about politics before we begin to wrap up. And that has to do with River State, where you're from. My first question is very
and you think politics is less complicated than NPC?
I'm not saying it is less complicated. I'm just saying the show is called Politics Today. So let's stay within politics. So let's talk about who you recognize. Let's talk about who you recognize as the leader. As the chairman of the APC. The reason I ask in the state, the courts had reinstated Emeka Beke. But Mr. Tonye Okocha still says, look, yes, we appeal and all of that, but I'm still in charge. And it feels like maybe the National Working Committee, maybe pandering, people are speculating, pandering towards Emeka Beke. So, first question, who do you recognize as the chairman of the party in your books?
I think that's a very simple no-brainer. Emeka Beke is the authentic, court-recognized, and true APC chairman of River State. Always was and remains to be the same.
So let's begin to break it down. Emeka Beke had come out to say, Amewule and his group that defected, you're accountable to the APC. The PDP lawyer had come to say, you're still a member of the PDP. Tonye Okocha, who held as caretaker chairman, sees Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, who is a member of the APC, as the leader of the party in the state. What do you make of this? I don't know, is it absurdity in that space? How are you interpreting it and how are you navigating around it? Because you're a major stakeholder.
Absolutely. And I think unfortunately River State politics has caused so much confusion in the Nigerian polity today. I've always said first and foremost that I have absolutely no problem with the president appointing anybody from any party into his cabinet. No problem. But that is where it begins and it ends. The Honorable Minister is an authentic member of PDP and has no business with APC in River State. Tonye Okocha works for, reports to, and is a member of the Wike family. And he is not and cannot speak for APC in River State. And so at the end of the day, when all the dust is settled, we will take a look and we will see the clear lines of it. Until the next election, party elections in River State, where APC River State will now determine who the next chairman is. The APC government of Emeka Beke, or chairmanship of Emeka Beke, remains sacrosanct, and that's the only way it is. Any other thing is just seed for confusion.
I do not want to say you're the spokesperson of former Governor Rotimi Amechi, also a former minister, but I know you are his ally. We're wondering why, in the midst of all of this, he's quite silent about what is going on within his own party. I guess that you recognize him as the leader of the party. Correct me if I'm wrong. And why is he silent?
I think Rotimi Amechi made a point almost 2 years ago that he was going to remain silent and allow people, because at first we were accused from all shades of blue, gray, white, black, that it was Rotimi Amechi that was doing this and doing that. And he decided that, you know what, Tonye and others who are there, Emeka Beke and all, you guys go, I've done my race, I've done my own time and all of that. You go and make the best of it. And so he has chosen to be quiet. Then people began to call him, why are you so quiet? Come and speak. And he said, no, I'm not speaking. I've done my bit. You are all independent. You are adults. You are grown. You have your money. You have your time. You have your party cards. You have your own vision. Go and run the party. And that's exactly what we are doing. So Rotimi Amechi has his path. He's doing what he has to do. He's chosen to go to school, keep quiet, and watch Nigerian polity and politics run. And we do our own part.
So are we saying by chance in the future, 2027, we're going to see Tonye Cole back on the ballot? And why, if you intend to run again?
You know, I've never ever hidden that my entry into politics for me is I gave myself first 20 years as a minimum, of which I've done 6. There's still 14 years to go. So I'm not going anywhere. Nobody is sending me anywhere. As far as Nigerian politics is concerned, and the vision that I have for this Nigerian politics and what we will achieve, it's a long-term game. Nobody is sending me anywhere. We're here and we're fighting this all the way to the end.
All right, Mr. Cole, so last question. How do you intend to navigate what we're seeing now if this holds till tomorrow? Tomorrow being 2027, Wike Okocha, one element of that party, Amechi, Tonye Cole, one element of the party, Magnus Abe. How do you want to navigate through all of this?
You know, it's simple. That's what politics is about. The more the merrier. At the end of the day, as you get into 2025, 2026, the dice will begin to be clear. Who is on what side, who is taking what position, and the people at the end of the day will choose. And I think if there's one thing that Rivers State has become clear, that's for the people of Rivers State. It's now clearer and clearer that they're just fed up of the type of politics that they've seen thus far and that they want something different. And I think that's what we're seeing in Nigeria, something different. So 2027 is going to begin to show a clarity that there must be a different type of politics that will be on the table, and we'll be there to make sure that that is the case.
Mr. Cole, I must thank you for your brevity. In terms of, William Shakespeare said, brevity is the soul of wit. You're straight to your answers as much as possible. Tonye Cole, co-founder Sahara Group, as well as the APC governorship candidate. In the last election, he said he's going to run again. So we're looking at what is going to play out in the future. I must thank you, sir, for coming on the program.